Unlock the secrets of franchising success with the Franchise Life podcast. Hosted by Stacie Shannon. Join us for expert insights, success stories, and practical tips every week. Subscribe now and take your franchise journey to the next level.
Hello and welcome to the Franchise Life. Today we are featuring a fun brand called Three Natives, Acai and Juicery. And with us, we have the founder and CEO, Anthony Bambino. Welcome, Anthony.
How are you?
I am good, thank you. Well, yeah, my pleasure. So first and foremost, I absolutely love that Three Natives is here in Palm Beach County. And ironically, so are you.
Yes.
So this is where Three Natives was founded. So why don't we start off with you just giving us a bit of your history and how you created this brand?
So we started Three Natives in 2013 in the very northern area of Palm Beach County called Tequesta, Florida. It's a little village just north of Jupiter. It's where I grew up, and basically, I had a sales job beforehand where Southern California was the bulk of my territory. And my best friend, who went to the University of San Diego, he worked at this small little acai bowl and coffee shop in Mission Beach, California. And I would always use his little coffee shop as like my little hub when I would sit there and try to make, in between phone calls and meetings, it's kind of where I hung out at, and I would watch all day long customers come in one after another, not ordering anything else on the menu besides an acai bowl. And at the shop, they only had one bowl. It was just one standard offering. And me and my friend, we talked about it over and over again about how there are similarities in the lifestyles of Southern California and South Florida. And would a Three Natives work in South Florida? And in 2013, we took the chance, and glad to say that it has worked. And now it's spawned off to 50 locations, majority of them all being in Florida, and the other 7 outside of Florida.
That is fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love a good success story. So you are not only acai bowls, but you have smoothies, salads and wraps, hot press sandwiches, bagels and toast. So did you start with this more expansive menu, or did you start, just focused on the bowls and then over time grew to a broader menu?
For our first year, we were just bowls and smoothies. And in the plaza I was in Tequesta, there was an Italian deli down the way. And we were watching husbands and wives, or boyfriends and girlfriends, pull up in front of Three Natives together. The women would come into Three Natives, and the husbands would walk down to the deli. And after noticing this trend for months on end, I asked a few of my buddies why they don't eat at Three Natives, and they're like, because you serve bird food. And I laughed at it, but then it had me thinking. I'm like, we got to put some substance. We need some protein to be able to get young males into Three Natives. So I believe it was our second full year of business that we brought on the food menu. So that's one of the biggest things that separates us from all the competitors in this space, is we've always done bowls, smoothies, and food. It's just been what our menu has been for over 11 years.
And we'll get into this a little bit more, but this is truly a small footprint for such an expansive menu and offering that you guys have. But first, I want to share just a fun little story. So I'm originally from Iowa. My husband and I moved to Palm Beach County in July of 2020. But before that, I was traveling down quite often. I've been in the franchise industry for years. I would come down here for different shows in South Florida. And then I have a sister that lives in Jupiter, which is neighboring to Tequesta in North Palm Beach County. Long story short, I have 3 nephews and nieces. And when I first started coming down to this area, they would always want me to go to Three Natives. That is the one place that they would say, let's go here. And so I got to know the product and the offering, gosh, years ago, I guess shortly, not too long after you guys opened up. But it has been really fun to watch it grow throughout the community and throughout the state. So on that note, when did you start franchising again?
We started franchising in 2015.
Okay. So you're primarily located in Florida, but have 7 locations outside of the U.S. So when somebody is, first coming to you as a prospective investor, going through the discovery process, how do you really set the stage for how you differentiate yourself in this food and beverage space?
So the two biggest components that we like to push, really put our focus on is the fact that we do offer food. We have obviously the salads, cold wraps, hot wraps, and then we do have some bagel and toast offerings. But on top of that, we really want to push that our customer service is top notch, and that is what we really want to be known for. I've said this over and over again, 4 or 5 years ago, acai bowls were such a new, popular, almost like niche item that almost anybody could get away with just serving an acai bowl. Now, fast forward to the current market we're in today, you can't do that anymore. There is a lot of competition. There are a lot of restaurants, a lot of national big players that now serve acai bowls, which is good, right? It gets the brand awareness behind acai bowls out to the masses, but also with more competition, people are no longer driving 20 to 30 miles to come to one of these stores. You're not as unique as you once were. So the way to capitalize on that is you have to have incredible customer service to be able to continue having your customers come into your restaurant. And that's not just for quick service acai type restaurants. In my opinion, that's for everything right now.
And how do you teach or embody that customer service into your new locations as you're growing throughout the U.S.?
It's really hard. I would honestly say it's probably one of the hardest things in franchising. The easy answer is when you have a discovery day, I still think the discovery day gets spent on the operation side of things, maybe more of the business and the financial aspects. But where it really should be is, does this franchisee have the same values that are customer centric, focused first that I have? If not, they are not going to be a good fit for this brand. And the reason why I say that, if they are only focused on the operation and their bottom line, they are going, and yes, on your item 19, yes, their sales may be good, but when the customer service side takes a hit, the moment a new competitor comes in, customers are going to go where people like to buy from who they like. So the customers are going to go to where they feel more comfortable. So it is very challenging. And it's something that we just harp over and over and over again. We actually have our franchise business coaches. We were so having them, they were entirely too focused on the operations side. And we've basically stripped them from doing inspections. Like our franchisees, they understand how to make wraps, they understand how to make bowls, they understand how to make smoothies. You need to continue to teach their employees on how to be the best stewards of Three Natives, how to greet the guests properly, how to say thank you, how to say my pleasure, how to go out there and have the simple, 30-second table touch when you can, when it's not busy in front of the counter. So it is the hardest thing to teach, but in my personal opinion, I think it is what gives you instant satisfaction.
Yeah, a lot of what you just shared is so powerful, and to me, just really embodies and demonstrates the sign of a good franchise system. So many people, I work with clients all over the nation. I say that quite often, but it's true. And many times when people are new to exploring franchise investment, they believe it's a decision on their part, right? Do I want to invest in this brand? Does this brand have what I am looking for, right? But equally important, and sometimes what goes unsaid, is that the brand is looking at you at the same time to make sure that you're going to be a good franchise partner and a good fit for their system. So I love what you shared about that discovery process and making sure that, you know, it's people first and customer service first, and that they're people focused, which is not everybody by any means, because a lot of people do go into franchise investment looking at the bottom line.
100%. And there are a lot of people that look at this, as you just said, as an investment, and not necessarily an investment of their time, but more as like a stock. Hey, we're going to put money into this and it's going to run itself. Yes, to a degree that can happen, but you're not going to be as successful. You're not going to have the impact. And in my personal opinion, you're not going to have the profitability that I do at my corporate stores, because you're not giving that extraordinary experience that I personally believe consumers crave for right now. We live in such a technology, digital first world, and I feel people strive for human connection. And the simple walking into a place and saying, "Hey, how are you?" It goes a long way, just acknowledging that someone exists. And that's what we preach. That's what we want our staff to do. That's what we want our managers to do. And that's what we want our franchisees to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a real quick personal example of that is there are so many places you could go for happy hour around here, right? We are restaurant plentiful. But there's a local steakhouse where if my husband and I walk into the bar in that steakhouse for happy hour, they know us by name. They know what we want to order for a cocktail. And I tell you, we keep going back and back and back. And it's that feel of like home, I'm home, or,
It's everything. I take a lot of friends, a lot of family when they're in town visiting. We have a very dumpy dive bar right down the street from me. And at first I'm like, guys, don't judge a book by your cover. The moment you walk in, they greet you. Your food comes out incredibly fast. If there's ever an issue, they take care of it right away. And I think a lot of these bigger restaurant groups, yes, they may have a prettier dining room. Yes, their kitchen's better. They can change their menu faster, but they have a hard time retaining help, and they're constantly having new help in and out, and it loses that human connection. We like you just said, you like that the people know what your order is. You sit down, you feel like you're at home. And that's really what we're trying to recreate at Three Natives at every single transaction, which is tough, but put your best foot forward, and if this is your intentions, you'll get there.
You also have a rewards app, so I'd love to hear more about that, because that's also an extension of what we're talking about here, where you're rewarding your fans, right, for coming in, ordering, being loyal customers, and rewarding them at the end of the day. So can you share more about that app and what it looks like and how it benefits a franchise owner?
Yeah, so it's there's two parts to it, right? One, obviously, it benefits the customer, and then the second part is it does benefit the franchisee. It's obvious how it benefits the customer. The more money you come in and you spend, the more points you get, and those points all have a dollar figure of you being able to purchase something, or get something either discounted or at free, using the points that you've accumulated over time. For the franchisee, you now are being able to collect data from your customer. You start picking up, knowing their trends when they come in, what they order, what they like to order. And that all helps with you delivering extraordinary customer service, because you get to the point where you see that. I used to joke when I was running the register, I was so bad remembering people's first names, but I knew everyone's order, and I still go out in town and see people, and I'm like, local, no blueberries, add kiwi, and just so now having that on your app, I mean, just seeing it over and over again, that you just start picking up on. And as you know, most consumers, they really don't order outside of their comfort zone. So it's really easy to just start seeing the trends of what people are getting. So we're really happy with our app. And it's been great for the customer and the franchisee.
Anthony, you mentioned franchise business coaches, which I love the role of a franchise business coach, and you shared how they support your franchisees today. What other support do you as a corporate office provide new franchisees coming into the system, and then ones that are already in the system for the lifetime of their franchise agreement?
So whether you're new or whether you've been with us for 9 years, everything's the same. Obviously, when you're newer, you're going to use us a lot more than you've been open and you've already gone through the motions. We offer everything. We have national marketing director, and she has contacts with PR agencies. We also have a social media director who has contacts with different content creators. The two of them combined, we send like a Google file every month of new images to our franchisees so they can continue to post or republish or make flyers with. We also have an in-house accountant that can help with anything that you need accounting wise. The hardest thing I would say, the first 6 months, everyone is so operationally focused. And then all of a sudden something clicks on, like, oh no, we're running a business. So setting up their chart of accounts, we do all that. We help them any step of the way. And then most importantly, our COO was a franchise business coach. He's also a franchisee. I think he's the biggest liaison between corporate and franchisers or franchisees. The fact that he is one of them and he speaks their language goes a long way. And it also, it's funny, right? There always seems to be like a slight divide between corporate and besides franchisee. And he does a very good job of bridging the gap of speaking our language when it needs to be spoken, but also bringing up legitimate concerns that he's seeing, not just from the franchisees, but what he's experiencing firsthand in his restaurant.
What has the biggest change been going from your corporate locations and a few franchise locations to over 50 locations today?
I think the biggest change that has happened with everything in Three Natives is as we've gotten bigger, we have no choice but to trust people. And when you're smaller, you can wear 13 different hats. You can do everything. Yes, you're working very long days, but you can be the marketing person. You can do site selection. You can look over LOIs and leases. As you get bigger, you got to put a team around you. And I think that has been the biggest change with Three Natives is the team that's around us corporately, and how everyone handles in our account or handles different roles inside Three Natives, and at the end of the day, they're accountable for it. So I think that is by far the biggest change.
Your total investment for a single location is between $350,000 to $500,000. And typically with any brick and mortar, the variance there is largely contributed to the retail footprint, right? But for a restaurant also, it is on the lower end. So how are you able to keep this investment level to that 350 to 500K range? And what does the real estate footprint look like, and where do you want to be located?
First of all, we hate the $500,000 number. We're working really hard to get that investment back between 350 and 450. Construction costs have ballooned. There's a lot of things we're looking into in our construction side of what can we do where we're still giving the brand aesthetics, customers are still getting the experience, and our employees are not, we're not cheaping out on equipment or anything for our employees, but to still deliver the great business that Three Natives does. And that is right now what we are just studying in and out. We want to get it back down drastically. We feel for the longest time it was 250 to 300 grand. I don't think we'll ever get to those numbers again, but if we can keep it at 350 to 450, I do think it opens us up to a much larger demographic. Thank you though for saying for in the restaurant space that we're still on the low end. A lot of potential franchisees, when they see that number, it is their biggest red flag, and they go elsewhere. They're very, very scared of that. And looking at the square footage of Three Natives, we try to stay in between 1,000 to 1,300 square feet. That's really our bread and butter. We can do 900, and obviously we have a few stores that are over 1,300. We have some 1,400-foot locations and a couple 1,600-foot locations. We're really trying to focus on that 1,000 square foot because our model has always been a to-go first brand. And now with everybody with Uber Eats and DoorDash and Easy Cater, those third-party platforms, we do such a large business with them that there's really not a need to have such a big lobby anymore. So you're wasting money, giving this lobby for your guests that are literally coming in and taking the food and walking out the door. So we are starting to streamline to look at smaller footprints for Three Natives. We actually, it's not in our FDD yet, but it is a corporate store. It's 800 square feet and it is 100% to go. And it's doing very, very well. And it is in a city center. So we think for more, urban locations where there's tons of foot traffic walking around, you don't need a lobby at all. People walk in and walk right out.
Interesting. So there is a Three Natives very close to me on Village Boulevard here in West Palm Beach, which is I would assume on the smaller footprint side.
That's what I was talking about.
Okay, well, I was wondering.
So that is one of your corporate locations then?
Yes.
Okay. I tell you, it's by a UPS store, it's by a Jersey Mike's. It gets, it's a really interesting location because some would think it's kind of hidden away from the larger, but there is so much traffic in that part of the strip mall. It's incredible.
Yeah. And on top of it, so everything off Palm Beach Lakes and getting into downtown West Palm is all third-party delivery. So I believe that store is about 45% third-party delivery. So you don't need to be paying for top-notch retail when you're that close to the city center.
45% third-party delivery.
Yes.
Wow. I hadn't even thought about that as a revenue stream, but that is mind-blowing. Okay. So let's get into what most of your investors, are wanting to know, and that's the item 19, which is what is the potential return on my investment? I know, you can only share what is published today. So give us the scoop on what your item 19 looks like.
So this year we actually took 7 stores. And we have their 100% top to bottom chartered accounts, their P&Ls. And the reason why we did that is we wanted to show exactly what you can expect owning a Three Natives. So it has everything from our cost of goods, labor, and then obviously all the way down to profitability. In 2024, not just Three Natives, but restaurants across the board were all hit with very high prices. Inflation was extremely difficult. It was very hard to navigate. So in our item 19, you're going to see those issues. Our food costs were very high. I would want to say our food costs in our item 19 is anywhere from 34 to sometimes 37% in some of those P&Ls. Our model, our labor cost has always been much lower. You'll see in that item 19, it's about 22 to about 26% on our labor cost. I will say we just did our April numbers, and obviously the month before, our Q1 numbers. Our cost of goods have dropped significantly. We did have to raise prices in the start of 2025. So we got our cost of goods back under to the 30% range. We're about 30 to 31 across the board. And we've started noticing, we've been preaching so much on the customer service and going above and beyond. And we've talked to some franchisees and some of our corporate store managers that they feel at our bottleneck hours from 11 to 1 that they're not able to go above and beyond and to stay, the numbers that we have put out there for what our labor costs, what we want, they just didn't feel it was able. And I'm like, now that we got our food costs back under control, I'm like, we're underneath that 55% food cost and labor. Go ahead and add another point, maybe 1.5 to your labor, so we can go not only above and beyond, but if we can get 2 to 3 to 4 more customers in at those bottleneck hours, obviously that's going to go right to your bottom line. So we finally got everything, back to where it used to be, and we're excited about the future.
Awesome. So can you share any of those top line numbers with us?
What 100%. And by the way, anybody who's interested in Three Natives, our 2025 FDD, we'll send it to you, and it has all the numbers in there. But we have stores that that are not being ran by an owner operator, that have a manager in there making $70,000 a year plus insurance, that they're bringing $200,000 a year to the bottom line. Our average unit volume on our top 50 stores for 2024 was 932,000. So, I mean, there's a lot of work to get there. It doesn't happen overnight, but it can be done.
And when you look at multi-unit ownership, then that just further compounds.
100%. And I own 7 stores myself. 6 of them are all in Palm Beach County. And then I do own a store with my sister up in Jacksonville. And how I run my 6 stores, it is proven that any multi-unit operator can do the same thing. This model is a great hub and spoke model where you can maybe go to, say, a big area, and you have one store that's a little larger with a bigger kitchen, and then all your other stores have a little smaller footprint because we do juice in-house. That is one thing that separates us from our competitors, and juicing requires a lot of produce. So you need the walk-in fridge, you need a juicer for it. So you do have the ability to have somewhat of a hub and spoke model as a multi-unit operator. And that is what I currently have right now in South Florida. We have a franchisee, Patrick, in Sarasota. He has a hub and spoke model. He has 3 stores, and he's actively looking for his 4th right now. Our franchisee in Oklahoma, they've been open for a year and a half. They're on to their 2nd location, and they're doing the same thing, the hub and spoke model. And we have another franchisee in Phoenix who are on to their 2nd location, and they're doing the same thing. So the first location, a little bigger, you have more room for storage, but then your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th locations are that much smaller.
That's great to hear. That lends to solid validation then during the discovery process. All right, Anthony, on a last note, you have a lot of locations in Florida. What are some of your major targeted growth areas throughout the U.S.?
So we really want to focus on the Southeast United States. We do have one outlier, and it is in Arizona. The reason we did it is I have a franchisee who's involved with 4 stores locally. He has family in Arizona. It's in the Scottsdale area. We went out there, we toured it. We do think, I joke, Scottsdale is like they picked up Palm Beach Gardens and Jupiter and just put it in the desert. So it's very, very similar. A lot of golf courses, a lot of gated communities. So should be really, really good for three natives. But besides that, the Southeast is really where we want to focus, especially in Georgia. It's the closest state to us. We do very, very well in warm climates. Georgia gets very, very hot. Winters are very mild, and there's a lot of people there, especially outside of Atlanta. So that is our big focus is Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee.
All great states. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for joining me today. Very excited about this brand. I've tried it. I've been in the stores, so definitely a fan. So for anybody that is interested in learning more about Three Natives, please feel free to reach out to me at Stacie@fusionfranchising.com. Thanks and have a great day.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more on the franchise life.